Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a genuinely fascinating workplace mystery that plagues facilities, factories, and teams literally everywhere. We're going to decode what's known as the productivity paradox. It's a deep dive into human behavior, our management habits, and honestly, how we interact with time itself. So get ready, because what we're about to uncover might just completely change how you look at a typical workday.
Okay, let's jump right in with a scenario that absolutely baffles management. Imagine you implement these brilliant new planning principles, right? Parts are prepped and ready to go, the scopes are crystal clear. You've got a maintenance job that historically took, say, 6 hours. Now, thanks to all your hard work and improvements, it takes exactly 4 hours. Fantastic, right? But here's the counterintuitive part. If that 6-hour job now takes just 4 hours, why in the world isn't overall output actually increasing at the end of the week?
Well, the answer is shockingly simple. And honestly, it might make you want to pull your hair out. The reason productivity remains completely flat is because, at the end of the day, still only one single job was assigned and completed. This gets right to the core of our explainer today. Wrench time simply cannot improve if crews aren't given more work. Think about it. Better planning just makes individual jobs easier to complete. The reality is, if you don't actually hand out additional work orders to fill those 2 hours you just saved, your productivity is going to stay exactly the same. Productivity is entirely dependent on supervisors actually assigning those additional tasks. Section 1, Culture of the Status Quo. The hidden habits of supervisors. Now, it's absolutely vital to clarify right up front that this isn't a problem of lazy technicians on the floor. Not at all. It's actually a systemic habit. Let's look at the historical context of a seasoned supervisor. These leaders developed their expectations back in the quote-unquote old days of maintenance. Back then, there was really no planning function. The storeroom was probably a total mess. Scrounging for parts, finding the right tools, figuring out instructions, that literally took all day long. So completing just 1 or 2 jobs was a massive, exhausting effort for a crew. Fast forward to today, right? Modern tools and planning make those exact same jobs so much easier. But, well, habits are hard to break. The supervisor is still mentally programmed to believe that 1 or 2 jobs is a totally acceptable full day's work. So let's say a supervisor recognizes that things are moving a bit faster. They assign 2 or 3 jobs to a couple of technicians. The supervisor feels great about this. They feel super supportive of the company mission because, hey, they're doing more than they did in the old days. But I want you to challenge yourself with this question. Why 2 or 3 jobs? Why not 4 or 5? I mean, if the time is genuinely available, why aren't they assigning enough to actually fill up the entire day? Section 2, the post-outage hangover, the psychology of leadership empathy. To really understand why this happens, we have to look at a genuinely fascinating psychological trap. Supervisors will often ask themselves something like, how could I expect to work my crew like dogs around the clock during such a critical time and then press them just as hard the next day? You see, during a major plant overhaul or scheduled turnaround, everyone shares this intense sense of urgency. The crew pushes incredibly hard. But after the outage, supervisors kind of think they're rewarding their crews by backing off. They incorrectly reason that the company carries extra staff just to be ready for these huge outages. So normal days, well, they should be easy. But that's just faulty logic. To remain competitive, crews actually need to work hard for a normal 40 hours a week doing proactive work, just without the extreme burnout-level exhaustion of an outage. And speaking of proactive work, let's look at this comparison here. On one side, we've got urgent, high-visibility jobs. These are incredibly satisfying for crews because fixing a broken machine directly links to keeping the plant running. Technicians feel like absolute heroes, right? Then, on the other side, we have lower-priority proactive jobs. Sure, these prevent future failures, but their link to plant availability is way less obvious. So, even when crews finish early and have extra time, like our 6-hour job done in 4 hours, supervisors often just ignore these proactive tasks entirely. And it gets worse. Sometimes crews will actually try to stretch out the backlog of those satisfying urgent jobs just so they don't run out of the highly visible hero work. Section 3. Stretching the clock. The one job at a time trap. So what actually happens when a technician is handed just a single job assignment with instructions to just return when they're finished? Well, 3 incredibly predictable psychological outcomes happen. First, the job magically expands. Whether it's an 8-hour or a 10-hour shift, that single task will stretch to fill the entire duration, totally regardless of its actual difficulty.
Second, there's a very real fear of the unknown. The technician is thinking, why rush? If I finish early, I bet the next job is going to be the worst one in the entire plant, like shoveling out the boiler. And third, if they do return early, the supervisor usually just cherry picks another urgent task from the backlog, completely bypassing the serious but non-urgent proactive work. Now, because of this really powerful counterproductive culture of peer pressure, some facilities try a wildly misguided tactic. They actually hide the time estimates on the work orders. Seriously, they fear that if a technician knows a job is estimated at 4 hours, they'll deliberately slow down to avoid beating the estimate and getting handed a second assignment. But listen, hiding time estimates is absolutely not a recommended practice. Technicians are a core part of the team. Those time estimates are vital accountability tools. They help everyone understand the expectations of the job plan.
Section 4, Murphy meets Parkinson, the two laws of maintenance.
All right, this brings us right to the philosophical payoff of how we manage time and errors. It perfectly divides maintenance management wisdom into two distinct traditional laws. Basically, planning is all about Murphy's Law, and scheduling is all about Parkinson's Law. Let's break down exactly what that means for your daily operations because it is a real game changer. Let's tackle Murphy's Law first. You know the one, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. When we apply this to planning, it means we have to recognize that planners can never, ever create a truly perfect plan. There will always be a missing part, some unexpected rust, or a random delay you just couldn't foresee. Because of that, planning is designed as a never-ending cycle of improvement. You're constantly collecting information to counteract these inevitable problems and make individual jobs as smooth as humanly possible.
But here is the other side of the coin, and this is what solves our core mystery today. Parkinson's Law states, the amount of work assigned expands to fill the amount of time available. So, when we apply this to scheduling, it means that if maintenance does not assign enough work for a specific time period, that insufficient amount of work will simply stretch out to consume the entire shift. The crews aren't necessarily acting in bad faith here, they're just naturally pacing themselves to fill that void of unassigned time.
Section 5, Breaking the Cycle, the true purpose of scheduling.
So the ultimate solution to our paradox is crystal clear. Trying to implement planning without scheduling is just a recipe for disaster. It yields frustration, not productivity. Sure, time is freed up from delays, but because no extra work is systematically assigned, that free time just totally evaporates. Advanced scheduling isn't some optional add-on. It's an intricate, absolutely necessary part of planning. The golden rule you need to take away from this explainer is this. You have to give enough work to the crews to fully fill the forecast of available labor hours.
Which leaves us with a final, provocative thought to wrap things up. In your own workflow, are you strategically scheduling your tasks, or is Parkinson's Law out there stretching your work to fill the time? Remember, this isn't just a maintenance problem, it's human nature. So the next time you find a really simple task taking you all day long, ask yourself if you just forgot to assign yourself a second job. Thanks so much for joining me to decode this, and keep optimizing.